How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to, what the hell is this? The big thing, Sith Council, whatever. It could be Sith Council, I guess, today, because it is the full-on spoiler review for Episode 3 of The Acolyte. The crew is in studio. It's the last LA in-studio show for the three of us. Myself, Mike Kalinowski, and Steph. We will be doing the show. Next week, we'll be back doing the spoilers. I'll be in New York, and we're trying to see if Mike and Steph can be in the same room. We'll figure that out. But in the meantime, we're going to be doing this show here today, Episode 3. What did we think about it? We haven't really heard Mike's thoughts at all about the show in general. Steph and I had a spoiler-heavy review on Episodes 1 and 2 last week, so we'll get into it. So if you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, subscribe to it. We got a lot of stuff coming out right now. I have the reactions that I'm doing to The Acolyte. I have an Out of the Theater reaction up right now for Inside Out 2. I've got I got House of the Dragon coming up. I'll be doing reactions for those. So tons of stuff over here. So make sure you hit that button. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. I'm doing a live show with Dan Merle on June 21st in New York. So the link is in the description if you want to be able to get those tickets. Do that. So let's do it, man. It's the big thing. It's me and Steph and Mike. Here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is Wednesday. It's the big thing. It is myself and Mike and Steph. Mike, what's
Mike, up?
So I gave Mike. So for those people who don't know, Mike right now is holding up the old school Inner Geekdom title, and Smets came over the weekend.
Who?
Yeah.
Who's that?
And he was like, the poor guy, he thought I was going to give him the new belt. But I gave him some really cool stuff. I gave him some Gentle Giant Star Wars stuff and giving people some stuff as I'm moving away. And I was like, well, I got to give that to Mike, because Mike really built out that division and helped with the whole corruption storyline and the tournament and really built it out. And then Smets goes, the second he gets it, he's going to post it. He's going to put it on his shoulder. And there you go.
I'm not going to lie, Mike. I feel like I should do a little more research before I say this, but I do think you had the most interesting storyline, period.
In general, or in the Inner Geekdom?
In general.
I mean, the corruption storyline was hard to beat.
It was very
I still remember when you pitched that to me.
telenovela,
You pitched that to me, and I was like, and you were happy. You were like, look at this logo. Look at this guy does this logo for us. And it was the corruption logos, the red and black. Because we had never done anything like that with my character, and it was just like,
yeah, you were ultimate good guy. You were like Captain America, and there was like a podcast that had said, "What if Kalinowski turned heel?" And I was like, and Mike called into the show, their show.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And
was it Taylor Robbins?
No, it was all about the belts or something. I can't remember what it was called, but either way, like, and you went on there, and Mike did cut like this heel promo, and I was driving to Collider, and I heard it, and I was like, that's it. This guy's got to be heel. That was
you
great.
are heel.
I tell you this, like, I still to this day meet people. I was at university the other day. I was being a Raptor handler out there, and the guy comes up and is like, Mike, corruption! Like, randomly, and then
corruption was a bit.
So I was talking something like politics or whatever on Twitter, and I said something about a punchable face, and this guy goes, look in the mirror, and I instantly defaulted to, fuck you, asshole. He's like, no, man, from corruption, you're a punchable face. I love you. I'm like, oh, my bad. Whoops.
Right. So anyway, so Mike got the belt.
Hot.
But that's not what we're here today to talk about.
It's not?
Not today. We have a lot to discuss. An Acolyte Episode 3 drops. But before we do it, speaking of Mike, we missed out on your opinions on the show thus far on 1 and 2. So summary on what you've seen on Episodes 1 and 2 of The Acolyte.
Okay. When they kill off Carrie Moss right away, I was kind of like, oh, okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the murder mystery aspect of the show.
Where'd that go?
They just got rid of that within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what it was going to do. Because when she appeared and she killed the Jedi at the beginning, but then she's the mech neck, whatever they call her, and I was like, oh, she's living like kind of like the double life here. I was like, how are they going to do this? This is going to be cool. I was like, oh, twins. Okay. I'll say this. I was expecting it to look better
When they said for $170 million.
And they're shooting it in Europe like they did the Andor.
Yeah.
And it just feels very soundstagey. I like it better than Ahsoka, though. These characters I'm invested in, like...
Because you can join it fresh and not have to...
But also, like, the whole thing with Saul when he met Osha again. And again, they didn't run and hug like we were all joking in Ahsoka, but you felt like, oh, there's something there. So I don't know if it's a actor versus actor thing in the two different shows that makes me believe one more.
I think
I like this show more than I like Ahsoka.
I think the dialogue is better, much better in this show. I think as overall Star Wars though, Ahsoka feels way more like Star Wars. As I was telling to Steph last week, this show to me, it's not aimed at the entire Star Wars fan base, and that's totally fine. If that's what it is, that's what it is. But like, there are parts of this. I thought that this episode, absolutely. Yes, this episode continued the story that they were telling and at least gave you some backstory and said, okay, we're telling the story. If you're invested in this story, if you like this, we're going to give you a little bit more of it. And now we're going to tell you why everything is the way it is. And if you're invested in this story, I think you can go, okay. But I don't know. It just, to me, it feels very, as I said, like CW young adult show. And I think that when the show was announced, I thought that we were getting more of that, like
Knights of the Old Republic.
Knights of the Republic, yeah. Andor, like, the sinister Sith that was the who was playing the politics of the misleading of the Jedi and once again, and we can go through the whole show in a second. The Jedi are just morons, and you said it off air before. You're like, yeah, but isn't it supposed to show their hubris? I'm like, we've done that already. It's like, during the High Republic, I know that it's the end of it, but like, I remember when we were like growing up and we first got invested in Star Wars, like the Jedi were cool, and it's like Saul's cool, but we've seen the Qui-Gon thing before. It's kind of like that. But anyway, Steph, what did you before we get to kind of break into the episode itself? What did you think?
It was fine. Again, I told these guys that I just it didn't make me feel good. Like, I love queer shit. Like, I love, I watch so many different shows where I'm like, was excited actually about a Star Wars show that was kind of queer. Like Leslie Headland was kind of that stuff never bugged me. But the problem is I don't really like the story. Yeah. And I keep nitpicking it, which is such a bad feeling as a viewer and a lover of Star Wars.
You're not excited.
But you do that.
Kept, like, thinking about stuff I don't like.
Someone made a good point. We've talked about this, and they made me realize that if you're not into it, you're gonna pick apart every bit.
Right.
Like for me,
Ahsoka.
like the little thing. There was a thing like I think it was last episode. The guy, he's standing up near Yord with the binoculars, looking down 5 feet below him. I'm like, and again, that shouldn't bother me, but like, why is he looking at binoculars right below him for 5 feet? What? But it shouldn't bother me, but because I'm like kind of like not really. Are you laughing at how stupid that is? I think that.
How about?
No, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. I just didn't get it.
Yord, first of all, perfect name for him. Yeah. Yord. He might be one of the worst Star Wars characters like ever. Yord is the worst. Yord's the worst.
I don't mind him.
He's the worst.
I have a hard time seeing it because they pointed out the kind of modernish hairstyle on him, and they showed like 5 video game characters recently and a couple movie characters that have that same kind of hip. And when let me ask you guys, when you're watching this Star Wars, are you taking in everything or this story? Because for me, it's like production design. Yeah. Everything in these shows I watch, because if I just want a story, I'm going to read a book and let my mind fill all the things in. So when I'm watching this, there was I think it was the first episode, they came into a town and they had like the gate. And the first time we saw that gate was in Force Awakens. It was a design that they chose for, Jakku or something. But now it's showing up. But yet this was 100 years before Jakku, and we never saw it between those two. And I know it's trivial. Right. But for me, I'm like, production design-wise, like, that doesn't work. You showed it 100 years ago, then you showed it in Force Awakens. Why have we not seen it in between? But you liked it in that, and it's part of Star Wars now, so you put it in your show. It's just like, and again, I'm nitpicking the hell out of it.
Yeah, that's.
But it's Star Wars. And I know, it's all that stuff we think about.
I think that's fair, but I think it's from as I was saying, when I've seen 4 of these, right? Yeah. So what I will say is that because 1 and 2, I'm like, okay, I want to see where this goes, but I know that I'm not into this show. Yeah. After the 3rd one, I was like, okay, like as I mentioned earlier, because you set up these characters and you kind of sprinkled in the fire, you sprinkled in these things that had happened, you sprinkled in, I watched her die, so you gave me a little bit of like, I get to see kind of that unfold. So that part of it, I was like, okay, I'm I'm on board with that. I get to see a little bit more of how these two came to be. But then there were some like things inside of it that I was like, I don't like. You can't say for people like, oh, how come the witches use the Force? Well, the witches of Dathomir use the Force. We've seen that before, but it was just more so of like it looked like. To me, it felt like they were kind of diminishing the Jedi in general. It's like, oh, you're not the only ones that know how to use the Force. We are, and we're more powerful at it. We can create beings in the same way that I guess Sidious did it or whoever did it for Anakin, but we did it first. And because they said they created the twins. I guess the Zabrak carried them, and then the mother created them. And so Anakin wasn't the first one to be born that way.
Is that what everyone says this one's going to be like the mind-blowing
I think that's what everyone's
thing?
getting. But it's like, why do you do that? Why do we need to do that? Like, I don't understand that. But let's kind of dive into the show itself.
Let me ask you guys this real quick, because you guys, maybe this is from the cartoon. But, okay, so the Jedi were created by Lucas because they were knights or monks or priests.
Samurai.
But then why, with witches, did they just create witches? Why didn't they give us
something else?
The Star Wars version of what a witch is, and to create a different word for a witch, and just like it's witches. We've like before Star Wars, we didn't have Jedi before Star Wars, but we had witches.
Right.
So when Lucas created, he was like, I wanted my own thing, and this is what they were going to be, and they were going. So when they wanted to bring witches into Star Wars, why didn't they pull a Lucas and go, okay, they're going to be called Zervras?
Zabraks?
Whatever. No, just nerve knobs.
No, I actually think that's
the nerve knob cannon, or coven or something.
Well,
like, why didn't they create
in the same way that the calamari looking things are the Mon calamari?
Yeah, on the nose.
No, I get that, but I'm just like, why didn't they go? They always talk about Lucas and Lucas did right.
Well, but Lucas was part of the. He was with them when they did the witches thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I just didn't know why they.
It's a good question.
I can see him going. We're going to call him something different. Than
maybe, but
again, pointless, trivial, but
yeah,
I'm just like
definitely. I'm glad you admitted it. All right, so when you start off with Brenock here, and this is a real location. You know that's
really pretty.
That's good looking, and then
it looked great.
You start out in there. They set you up to where like, oh, she's not looking happy. That's got to be May. And then they kind of give you this, she's got the thing on her hand. You're like, oh, is this a Dexter moment? Is she going to kill the thing? And it turns out it's not. That's May over there. May comes in, and you see May's actually the happy one on this planet. And there's something about Osha where she's kind of questioning it overall about why they're doing what they're doing. One is really happy, one is not. And you can see, like, they're switching on you because Osha's just miserable. It's like sadness and joy from inside out. And she's just kind of moping around the whole time. And then they give us that 2 is 1, 1 is 2, 3 equals 4. And then Zabrak shows up.
I thought that was Charlize Theron for a second.
She's got that kind of vibe, but she's fairly one note in that she's the one that is the harsh teacher. And, and then he's hiding behind a tree. So,
yeah,
who
knew the Jedi were cradle snatchers? Like, I didn't know that they half their profession was going to planets and stealing children. Like,
I know you kind of are against it. I kind of dug it. Well, like the Jedi are just pricks, and they're stealing kids to kind of build their order up.
But that's what they've always done. I mean, that's what happened to Anakin. That's what
happened. But that was like,
that was also giving him a better life.
But I love that. It's like, we can free you. We weren't here to free slaves, just you. Right. Like, looking back on that, I'm like, I kind of like this, and I kind of like how they're kind of dickheads. Like these Sith, I'm like, the Jedi, I'm like, you guys suck.
Yeah,
I want to like them,
but because I
want to be a Jedi.
I know,
but
I
don't.
Now you don't. But that's such a great. No, wait, hold on. That's a great point. Is like that. That's what I think a lot of people have kind of been bummed about. And like, there's a way to do it where you can scream and yell and throw tomatoes at the wall, and there's a way to look at it and say, "Oh, that's a bummer," because I feel the way you do. It's like, oh, you're making them such turds that I'm like, when I took a picture of my kid as a Jedi, I'm like, oh wait, are you going to turn out to try to steal kids in a forest?
Yeah,
but don't you look at it this way then? Because I look at it this way then. It's like, because you as a person always have hope that you can be better. And you can change things, like.
Yeah, but we know that they're not, because you go from years and years, and Luke's all pissed off about it in a cave in Last Jedi, going, "Oh, the Jedi couldn't do it."
No, the Jedi are supposed to also be taking from Buddhism, and I just don't think anyone meditating for that long should would be like, you know what we should do? Go take
Corvan was
children.
meditating forever.
That was sick.
How about receding hairline meditating? And then
that's what I'm saying. Corbin.
I'm woken up. Oh, you couldn't wait. You couldn't the whole time. You couldn't get the force field. What you said? What? Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, give me. I'll kill myself. Sure. What? Like
I did like the way he was like impenetrable.
That was cool.
Pretty cool.
And then, but everything about that guy, they just made. I mean, you see him in this. He's the one guy shows up, because he's the Padawan. The Wookiee's fine. He's okay. He's ready to grill something in the corner. But then you got the other two. You're not going to touch them. But here's potential receding hairline. Oh yeah, let's get the weak guy and turn your eyes black. Oh yeah, we'll let you go. Maybe not now. Oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, in a couple of years from now, he's just going to take poison. Why? Because. What? Why was he upset? What happened? Why weren't the other ones upset? What did he do? Just because they got inside of his head?
I'm trying to figure out, and maybe we'll get into later the episode. You want me to talk about the fire starting?
Let's get
Okay, we'll get there because I got questions.
So he's hiding behind the tree, and I guess the Zabrak's not strong enough to realize that, to sense him. And then that's the name of the show. Yeah,
well, also May was on some freaky deaky though with the butterfly creature. She was trying to kill it.
Yeah.
May was. Yeah. When it came out, when it started.
You think it's Osha.
You think Osha's doing it, and then May actually is going to Dexter it.
Yeah.
Dude, let me ask you this. And again, I'm getting ripped apart for this shit. Does the name Osha bother you?
No.
I think if I was a twin and my sister's name was Osha and you gave me Grandma May,
okay, so we're
I
not.
would be
Okay, so we're on a
pissed.
different page. I hear the word OSHA 2 to 3 times a week at my job because it's the occupational safety hazard company. It's everything in a theme park is OSHA standards, OSHA handbook. OSHA's gonna come in and check to make sure that the stage is safe.
So you get PTSD when you're
Dude, I'm like, clearly no one that wrote this show has ever dealt with OSHA.
Low key,
Or they did.
To me, Osha's the most annoying character
But
by
the
far.
name,
far.
Yes,
her.
I'm like, what are you?
Hold on,
you're gonna leave
I don't want
your
to know about
family?
the
Yes, you do.
No, I want to hear Steph's point. Go ahead, Steph, please, about the show that we're talking about.
From the first scene, I was thinking, oh no, am I gonna like May more than Osha? I can't. Well, okay, so here's what I'll give Osha. She's more like an anime character where they start out really annoying and then you kind of understand them and have a cool arc. But I don't. To me, it's like she has like privileged tears going on. You have two dope moms, a sick sisterhood of witches where you can do cool things every day.
Right, and she wants to be a Jedi, and what you want
You don't even know what that is.
I know, but you want that. But that goes back to your earlier point. It's like of course you want to be a Jedi. Jedis are awesome, but because you're saying
I'm like, why would you want to
join the Jedi?
Jedi?
Because they've set him up. And then Carrie-Ann Moss has 3 lines, by the way.
Carrie-Ann Moss, my Trinity baby. 3 lines. I need to hear from Carrie-Ann Moss that she only had 2 days to film.
Yeah. Occupational Safety and Health Administration. That's what it stands for.
That's who our main character is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have called her Isha. There we go. Just change it.
Perfect. That's good. You're crushing it today. I got to tell you.
Aren't I?
So
shut your mouth.
So then we get back to the cave, and we have more of this. You see them in the village. This was the first time I did say when I was with the reaction that for the majority of the show thus far, you could have told me that it was during the prequel era. It doesn't look any different. Maybe it's just because it was on a different planet. I felt like it was a little bit more in ancient times. I felt it was like 100 years ago. I kind of had that feel to it, but at the same time, I still feel like it was people playing dress up, if that makes sense. But then we have Jodie Turner-Smith. So she's great.
She's my favorite character.
She's great. And so she shows up and stern, powerful, caring. You get who she is, and she runs the joint. And I thought that they played that really well, and you can see the respect and the kind of connection that she's got with both the kids. But then the Zabrak predictably comes over and says, whatever. It's the same. It's just setting this. I'm just so hoping that I'm wrong, that she is not the Sith.
I think it's the mother.
No way.
I
mother's the one you saw dead.
I don't think she's dead. I don't understand how any of them are dead.
She's too tall.
I asked you this. How are they going to fit her head in that helmet then?
I mean, depending on. I think it's pretty.
It's a skin tight helmet. It's pretty tight on that head.
It's true. I hope I'm wrong. People, the other one that's set up for is the what's his name, Manny Quinto.
Yeah.
Ezra Miller.
It's between those two, and I hope it's neither. Show us someone completely different, and show us the fact that the Sith were actually the ones who wiped out the witches.
Yeah, I'd like to get to some of the Sith conversations.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we thought this show was going to be. What is this show?
Episodes is this show? Do we know?
8, I think.
Yeah, I mean, maybe again, for me, it's expectations versus reality. Again, I just assumed certain things. Like we hear Acolyte, High Old Republic.
Yeah.
Like this in the era of the High Republic, right?
Yeah. It was this is
Yeah,
the end of the High
And the
Republic.
comics that show that, like, the deal with the High Republic, it was just... This, to me, is... Like you said, it feels like 10 days before New Hope. Like,
I just thought because of what they said about how Leslie Headland was like a big Sith lore canon.
Yeah.
You know, I thought we were getting something along the lines of what we got in that Darth Plagueis novel. Not that story per se, but like the inner workings of what, when you look at the Drew Karpyshyn novels of Darth Bane and like the inner workings, how he like the infiltration, but keeping it quiet the whole way through and showing like in the shadows, but like poisoning the well and showing how strong the Jedi actually were, but poisoning the well through Sith antics. That's what I thought this show was going to be. And you're not wrong with expectations. It's just from the conversation that was announced and the way that they pitched it, they pitched it like the dark side was going to be running the shop. Like that's what this show was. It was a dark side show. This isn't a dark side show. It's not feel good show, but it's not a dark side show.
Right.
It's like there's one Sith kind of in the background, and now there's witches.
I remember you would always say, like, this show can be real. This could potentially be really dark and really kind of...
And it's not.
Get in it. And it seems like the Sith is just kind of...
No, I'm telling you, it's CW. It's like CW young adult. But it's not like, and people saying this show is so poorly written. I don't agree with that. I think that
I don't
like
either.
if you compare the dialogue and like there's some choices that some people make that are ridiculous, mostly Yord, but a lot of choices are poorly made. But like there's some really awful writing in Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, like really awful writing. Like, you know, like who allowed this to be on television writing? This is more so like like you said, I don't like this story necessarily, but it's written by someone who knows how to write dialogue.
Yeah. I have no problems with. I'm not like whiplashing at lines being said. Like, why would you say that? It's more like, oh, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that are we going to get to the coven part?
We'll do all of it. We'll do all of it. So
song really.
The screaming and yelling in the background.
Yeah. No, the power of
Oh,
one.
right.
Power
Well,
of
do you
two.
know what I started singing in the middle of that, Mike?
Oh, no.
Mike will appreciate it because you'll definitely
here we
grow.
go.
No, there's a line in it. It goes, it's from like Lost Boys, and it's like thou shalt not kill. It felt like that in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But let's see. So we find out obviously that these two are a couple.
Yeah.
As we get this, it's nicely lit in the back. We understand a little bit more that there's as we've seen a million times over, there's the calm, level-headed one, and then there's the brash, like, hey, paranoid, like, well, we got to protect them at all costs. And then they asked, was anybody following you? No, nobody was following us. Keen senses.
Right.
And then then there's this scene that when it set it up, I'm like, okay, this is you see the power of like what they're doing and what they're able to do, and this was great. Okay, they know how to use the Force somehow, and we'll figure that out once they give us a little bit more of the background. But then like this stuff, like I don't believe that this person is using the Force.
Also, I just couldn't. I know kids are annoying, but
right.
Shut up.
Right, they're arguing in the middle of this thing.
In the middle of a huge lesson.
Right, and it's like it's not like their first lesson.
No,
they've been doing this for a while. So, but it's just like I don't know, man. It's we get it. You're sad. She just wants to be your friend. Right.
I know it's a little Chucky-ish at times, but I do think it's I don't know. I think maybe part of my intensity of what isn't sitting for me is the fact that I am a twin, and I cannot imagine ever being like, you're annoying me. I want my own life, you weirdo. I'm leaving.
Right.
Yes, Steph, I'm sitting here very surprised that you didn't like this. Like, this seems right. I don't want to say check boxes in a bad way, but it hits the things that you like in it. To see that us two schmoes, we're not liking it. That's,
I like the way it looks. I like the ideas of the Jedi and
it's
the
not grabbing
witches
you.
and the Sith, but it's not.
And that is why I've said, and I think that I'm so glad that we were able to get Steph's thoughts on this in this one, because Roke and I talked about this last week, is that, and I'll reemphasize it, that you're going to get the Everything is Awesome crew that's going to love everything that comes out, and good for them that they love everything. Love is a good thing to have. You love everything, great. Then you have the other side that just hates everything. They profit off of hating everything, even if they like it, they're never going to tell you. It's the middle person that you got to go, okay, well, what are they thinking? And what it looks like to me anyway, Steph, myself, you ain't liking it a lot of, or at least just. And it's not, and I've seen people going, I saw somebody in my reaction recently just say, I don't tried, man. I'm just not in it. Not in it.
I'll give this to, because I have to give this because I've always wanted it. Like, I'm glad there's no Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like
right.
I always
you could have done that. You could have done that in all the ideas that we just talked about. You could have done no Skywalker.
I know, but I'm trying to give credit to a show that the things that I want to see in Star Wars going forward, that this show's hitting on. So I'm like,
yeah, there are good things about
like
the
that.
show.
And like I said, like I like these characters more than anything in Ahsoka.
Because again, like you said, you didn't have to know anything going into it. And even though overall I just don't think the show is for me, and I'll finish watching it. The third episode, and people will disagree with me on this, and that's fine. I think the third was the best out of the three of them, and maybe that's because of the things that were set up. And then I said, there's a lot in this episode I don't like, but there's a lot that I go, okay, at least now I want to know, because I'm not as invested in the main storyline, and I don't feel I don't want to say anything about the fourth one because I've seen it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they can get me back or get me to a place where I go, all right, this is now we're cooking. Now we've set up 4 episodes here, and now what do you got?
Right.
I don't know.
it's like I'm sitting watching it, and there's no part of me that's like, let me turn this off. It's that bad.
Right. But is there a part of you that says, I can't wait until next week?
No.
Right.
And I think if you put this in like a collage, all the characters, the vibe, the specific choices, I'd be like, oh my God, yes. I see it. There's that one shot when the mother's walking out during the ceremony is so sick, and I think that's very creative and different. And then when it's all coming together, the way it's unfolding, it just is, it's not tickling me.
No, and there's,
Cool shot.
Yeah, there's some cool shots. There's a little redundant stuff here and there. This had a little bit more of there was like a little more Japanese feel at times, where they would, and the way this, even with the music, but the lighting of it, very well done. And we just kept hammering in the point that Osha's sad and doesn't want to be here, and that May wants her to get on track, right? That's really what it was. And now here comes the ceremony, which is the essential water. Is that what they call it? The essential? And so Zabrak starts doing magical things, and then I'm telling you, man, they're setting her up. You never saw her die. They're setting us up that she's going to be the one, because she didn't want the Jedi to take them. She's pissed off when they show up. So
she's going to be the Sith Lord.
God, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because I don't even know if I'll finish the show if they reveal that she's the Sith, because it'll just negate a lot of the things that in general, that the rule of two and all that stuff. So then, Steph, go ahead. So you wanted to talk about.
No, it's not one of the. It's before she walked to the front.
Okay.
But then the chanting got
Screaming
a little
and yelling.
weird. Yeah. I get why they did that. I do. It's like you're at a seance. Yeah, and you're a witch. You're probably a little freaky. I just think it didn't hit. And it kind of gave me that same feeling in Mandalorian season 3 when they're like, let's get all the Mandalorians together, and there's like 20, and I'm like, this is your entire village.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, but that's a fantastic point, because you have $170 million that you do, and this did feel like, all right, let's take a section of like a cave and stick like 30 witches there, and like, when you look at something like House of the Dragon, when they do the opening, like Game of Thrones, when they do like an opening, like just throne room scene, and it's like this gigantic room with, it seems like hundreds of thousands of people that are just there inside of this room, and you're like, oh my God, I can feel the energy in this room, and it feels real. Mm-hmm. There are times that this show feels real, but more often than not, it feels like dress up.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, and I think that what also goes to play in this is that you almost have to separate this show into, like, this is Leslie Headland's version of Star Wars and what she wants to do. And most people are going to go, no, I want Star Wars, right? I don't want that. But if you take it, it's like, this is Leslie Headland's Star Wars, and she's going to do in the same way that Rian Johnson did his thing with Last Jedi, and we know how that went. But you kind of have to look at it that way, because there's certain things that I think are going to get negated with lore and Force stuff. And then, by the way, where in the F is Yoda? Why wouldn't an 800-year-old Yoda say, I can help you out, and let's do a little investigation here. I got a little bit of my wits. I'm 100 years younger than I was before. He'd be on the council. Why aren't they talking to him about what's going down?
Right.
Where is he? And they're not going to show him. You know why? In the same way they're not using any of the music. They want to separate it. And that's my point with the Leslie Headland Star Wars.
There is no Star Wars music in
No,
this.
and why? Jedi don't have the Force theme. They teased it a couple times in this episode. There was a couple of times.
There's no.
Why? It's like in the same. If you went and saw a James Bond movie,
Yeah, you gotta have that.
and they never had the theme in once, you'd lose your mind.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't have to have the same score for every track. Make your own. And the music's really good in this show, by the way. But there's no themes in the same way they did it for Obi-Wan, which is ridiculous. And I get it. It's 100 years beforehand. You can create new themes. But Knights of the Republic had tons of old school Star Wars mixed in with new stuff. The game. Kevin Kiner does it masterfully. Like, there was Force themes, and there was stuff in Ahsoka.
Yeah.
With the Ahsoka theme, and there's other things too. Kevin Kiner does it masterfully. And I don't understand why they do that. And I don't understand why. Yeah, it's just like, it's my point that I made with you, Steph. I don't get the business decision overall if you're sitting in a boardroom going, in the same way that I didn't understand it when they had J.J. Abrams do Force Awakens. And they're like, well, Ryan wants to do this now. Well, why? We got to continue what we did here. If you know that everybody at this point, you've got to get everyone on board, whether you like everyone that's on board or not. You've got to get the fan base on board in order to elevate your IP, and I don't think this is the show that's doing it. I just don't.
Yeah. I also think that I would be okay with them not using any of the original music if it was more murder mystery, which,
right.
By the way, I actually don't know if I've ever gotten the wave of murder mystery that other people picked up in the first and second
You never
episode.
thought it was at all. You never got it at
and
all.
that might be me,
I
but
did
I'm
for
like,
about
we
15 minutes in the
saw
first
the
episode.
first opener when
You
she's
kinda knew
fighting
who it was
Carrie
right
and
away.
Moss.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know exactly who she is.
But it changed for me when they switched to her as a mechanic. I was just like, oh, what's going on here? But then the twin thing popped up. I'm like, okay.
You make a
that's
good
that.
point, though, Steph, too. It would have been interesting if, like, you don't really see who it is at first and wipes out. Maybe also in a disguise, right? But it's like, is the murder mystery trying to figure out who the Sith is? Because I'm telling you, if the mystery is who is pulling the strings, and it's either Manny or the witch.
Why do you guys think it's him?
Because it's
I don't think
the
it's
drugged
him.
out guy. Does he think he's all faking it? And
I think
isn't he a little young to be some Sith Lord?
or who knows who was
But
trained by.
wouldn't she know it was him or no?
How?
Because of the
She
mask?
she doesn't know. She doesn't know. Remember they said they've never really had a discussion with him. They never really had doesn't know who he is. But the reason I'm aiming, if I was gonna go between the two of them, because I think they're gonna try to they could do a Kaiser Soze with him, and because he shows up and he's just like he's able to kind of infiltrate, so he's a possibility. And I saw a lot of theories thinking it's him. But the reason why I'm leaning towards the Mother Witch first is because you see all these bodies on the floor at the end. You see the main mother dead. You never see her. And they do a lot of menacing shots of her watching, and the fact that she says that line of, well, I carried them. So there's something more to these twins, which I think that's another thing is like, we're making this show more about these twins than we're making it about the infiltration of the big plan that comes down. So it's like these are just two random characters. We're making it just about them. I don't know. Go ahead, Mike. What were you gonna say?
I'll get there. I think we're going to cover it in the pictures.
We had the ceremony, and there's a lot of chanting, and then they show up in the gold robes, and May is same thing as Steph said before. May's like, yeah, I said I'm down. What do you got? And then they stick a blue light in their forehead. And then the but look,
scar me up.
But look, the Zabrak again, looking in the background, sulking. I'm telling you, there's more to it. And then our 4 Jedi come in, and we know when they show up, like, okay, why were they hunted down? Why were they hunted down? And I still don't know the answer to it, because they showed up and they wanted to, and they took Osha, so that made her burn down her whole thing, and plus wanted 15 years later to go murder the 4 of them. That's why. Right. That's a motive.
I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, so here we are.
Okay.
This is the crux of what's going on.
Yeah. Right.
Like, so May is killing the 4 of them because they just showed up.
Yeah, and I think
and they didn't set the fire.
The Sith is making it. It's another reason why I think that the witch. What?
May caused the fire.
I don't know, because I feel like.
What do you mean? You don't? She had the book and the thing.
I know that, but I don't think the huge fire, because that doesn't make sense.
That's okay. So that's what I want to get to. I don't know if we get there. So we see the thing. She got the book. She burns the book. She traps in there, and the next thing you know, this thing is on fire. And everyone's dead. Like, I go, did I miss something? Did I walk away, or like, how did that?
See her more than just burn the book?
I don't know. She dropped the book. The curtains caught on fire. Yeah. And next thing I see, every single witch is dead. I'm like, and then she goes to kill the Jedi?
There's got to be more to it. The Sith have to, that Sith Lord had to have gotten involved, or the mother did it, because they're so powerful, but a house fire took them out?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. We show this whole thing with the Force pushing each other's shields, and they die because of the fire?
I think there's more to it. I think there is more to that, but that's why it leans into me going, it's going to be the Zabrak.
But why would then May go to hunt the Jedi to kill them?
Whatever
she wanted them to die anyway.
Like, I think she was. It says.
Well, you've seen episode 4, so clearly we don't find out.
Well, yeah. Again, I don't want to get into it, but we will continue on here for a second. By the way, if you are enjoying this show and you disagree with everything that we're saying, please put your comments in there. And there's been, and I want to thank a lot of you. I wouldn't say all of you, but I'll say a good majority of you, that you have been able to discuss your points without, saying things, insults, or telling people that they hate stuff now because you don't like what you like, or whatever it might be. Just have a conversation. That's the most important, because otherwise you get thrown out of the store for having your pants off. That's the way we do it here. Okay, listen, before we move on, I want to tell you guys, I've mentioned you guys many times over, BetterHelp. We were just talking about BetterHelp before we even went on the air. Roxy talks about BetterHelp all of the time, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about them right now. All right, guys, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. So, BetterHelp, I've been telling you guys about BetterHelp for a while now. We've had a lot of people that they've been helped out by. So, this is why the big thing is sponsored by BetterHelp, because what's the first thing you need to do? If you had an extra hour in your day, would you go for a run? Would you take a nap? Would you read a book? Would you show up for a friend? Well, the problem is a lot of us spend our lives wishing that we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's important to you and make it a priority. Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. So I've mentioned Roxy Stryer. She's talked about it many times. She's really benefited from BetterHelp. I've had people inside of my family that have benefited from BetterHelp, because talking to someone helps. And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's online, it's designed to be convenient, it's flexible, and it's suited to your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime, no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/bigthing today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/bigthing. All right, thank you again to our friends over at BetterHelp. Appreciate them being on board. Make sure, again, if you need to talk to somebody and you are able to, go and check out BetterHelp. The link is in the description. All right, moving on. Let's get to the Jedi. They come in, and then we just kind of find, okay, Carrie-Anne Moss, she's going to have a lot to do. She doesn't. And then receding hairline Mark Zuckerberg and what's his face?
Kalnaka.
Thank you.
Right?
He shows up. They show up and for some reason they're there. There's 4 of them to recruit, and they said they've been hiding these kids, and then they're going to steal your kids from you. And they said, "Oh, we have the right to take your kids," and rightfully so. The 2 mothers are pissed off about it, and then one wants to go, one doesn't, and then they take this poor sucker and they take his eyes and they stick him in the back of his head, and they go, "Yeah, that's okay. Well, he's going to wind up taking poison later on. It's fine." And Carrie-Anne Moss is like, "Hey, you know the rules. Give us the kids." And they're like, "All right, we'll have a meeting about it." So they have a meeting about it, and Zabrak says, "We're not giving them to no monks, and that's why I'm going to burn you all to death and become a Sith Lord." And then they have more conversations about it later on. And that's really, you get more and more of the finally they're gonna train with the Jedi. Let's go try it. Let's go train. May bombs the audition, and then what's his face? What's his man bun?
It's Kalnaka.
So Kalnaka says, "Hey, good luck," and he goes in and she starts guessing wrong. The whole ship, this or that, and I did like this scene, by the way. I like that scene when Saul's like, "Okay, correct," and she's like, "Wait, what?" It's like, "Correct." I liked that. I thought it was a good scene, and I thought it was also who told you to bomb the audition?
Right.
Come on. So, did you like that scene, Steph?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I was just so pissed at Osha because I just knew she was gonna flip.
Yeah.
I'm all about loyalty. Never
Right.
go against the family.
Right.
Never go against the family.
Yeah. There you go. She's a soprano.
Yeah, yeah.
But did you like this scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it? But then as we finish it up, we've got they decide. Yeah, Osha can make it, and he said, "I'll always protect you." He lies to her face. He lets her go.
I wish we knew why he has interest in her and not May.
Not May. Right.
I mean, I
Maybe
guess
'cause
we're
she
to
wants to be?
assume that she has a darker
Or maybe she
energy
wants to
about
be.
her, but
I don't know. But then they know that she's leaving. She's going to take off, and then May goes, "Yeah, guess what? I'm going to kill you." Just like that. I'm going to kill you. And then
her turn went
out of nowhere.
sociopathic
And then,
quickly.
Yeah, and then burns everything down. And then she said, "What'd you do?" She said, "I burned everything down. Everybody's dead. I did it by accident, I think. I don't know. Maybe there's a Sith. I think maybe the second mother did it. We'll find out in a later episode." And then here's Saul who does the save. We knew that was coming. Yeah, coming.
Again, to me, that scene, it's like the last episode with Yordor with the binoculars 5 feet down. Like, they've got the little bridge. It's broken. Like this. Just jump. Like, it was
Force jump.
It shows either creatively they're limited. Like, I expected something, if you remember, from Captain America when he meets the Red Skull for the first time. And they have these 2 platforms and they can't get to each other. They're far apart. Like, it's Star Wars. You got to show scope. You got to give us scope here, man.
But what are we spending the money on?
I don't know.
It's
You're
170. What are we spending the money? Is it all location? Is that what we're spending money on here? What are we spending the money on?
I don't see it on the screen.
It's like
I'm curious to see what Andor's budget was.
I think it was 100. It was higher.
Okay.
Because, and I
it's
think
on the
locations.
screen, it's on the screen.
Yeah, you can see it on the screen for sure.
saying.
But Obi-Wan was like, which is crazy. Was like one of the smallest budgets, which is crazy. You would assume that show would have $200 million.
But it looked like it was all filmed in LA.
It looked, yeah,
and way less cast.
yeah, and the Benny Hill scene alone. It's
That scene is engraved in my head.
Have you ever seen it with the Benny Hill music?
No.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no.
I have to show it to you after this.
No.
I'll show it to you. But it's the best and sad at the same time. All right, so then we go to they're getting out of the cave, and then she's doesn't know what happened. She said, "Listen, I'm going to protect you, and I'll never let you out of my sight until I do." And then liar, Jedi liar, and then obviously May makes it out looking at the trees. But there's more to it. There's definitely more to it.
Yeah, of course.
So there's
Has to
eight
be.
episodes or 9?
I think there's 8 episodes.
So episode 4 doesn't deal with it. Clearly.
Right.
So then they've got,
Let's see.
4 more episodes to.
I feel like how many episodes is the Acolyte? 8. Yeah. 8 episodes.
Okay, is this going to be the classic? Well, they got to wrap this. They got one episode to wrap this stuff up.
You know what?
We're not doing it.
You know where I will give this show credit that I haven't done for a lot of the other Star Wars shows, and maybe it's because it has been more dialogue heavy, more story heavy. Mm-hmm. These episodes have only been like 37, 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
But they don't feel as short as the other episodes because I feel like sometimes when you're doing the Dave Filoni episodes and it's like, oh, now we're going to do a monster in the cave. It's the monster in the cave episode. And then that's like 15 minutes and then they don't have time to do any story. It's like, oh, here's Katie's Sackhoff's speech where she's going to do that William Wallace speech. Let's cut it in half. And it's about 33 seconds. And now let's get to the blasting. Pew, 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 pew. This is more of like I think that you are actually building stuff.
That's true.
So at least, I never feel like, oh, it's over already. I haven't felt that yet, and I've looked in the episodes.
Or like, why are we here?
Yeah, the episodes aren't, and they're like again like between 37 minutes to 44 minutes long, whatever it is, and it's not like oh these need to be longer. It's like I felt like that with Obi-Wan, I felt like that with Ahsoka, I felt like that with most Mandalorian stuff. I haven't felt that with this show. It's like okay, you're telling me the story you need to. I don't think it needs to be longer. Not necessarily locked into it, but. Yeah, the length of the show is usually my biggest thing, and it doesn't bother me in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's true. I think that is why there are parts of it I enjoy is the whole story unfolding. I just am hoping to like what unfolds more.
Yeah. Where do we go from here? Where do we go?
I think I don't know. I would love to actually have like 30 minutes with whoever the Sith is and get inside their mind.
Find out who they are.
Yeah, and like the mission of the Acolyte, because the more that I think about it, the more that I'm like, why are they letting this seemingly mid-range trainee go out and get these Jedi?
Right.
Without a actual weapon,
right, and
doesn't want her
but she is using weapons too, by the way.
Right. So I just want to know that, and then at least that, and then would love to get what the why.
Yeah. And what do you think?
I guess the more we talk, the more questions I have. Like, It's the Acolyte. It's the Sith and the apprentice, basically.
Is it the Sith though? At this
but
point?
we don't know. But it's like.
I don't think so.
Is this just a revenge story about witches versus Jedi?
I hope not.
And we've talked about this ad nauseum. Is this going to be another redemption arc?
Oh, definitely.
Well, like, I get it.
Definitely. You're saying,
Anakin Skywalker, at the crux of Star Wars, was his redemption.
I know, but it's
so
like
every director and writer, when you tackle Star Wars, you don't need to do a redemption.
Right.
Look at the three of us, 3 different people in life. Have we had a redemption arc in our lives yet as people?
Yeah, corruption. You turn bad and good.
God. But was every storyline in the Schmodown a redemption arc?
No.
Not at all, because it would have been
boring when we did it already.
But like, it's a Schmodown show, so new character introduced into the Schmodown.
Right.
We've got to create a redemption arc for you.
Right.
Did Ben Bateman ever get a redemption arc, his character? Never.
Right.
But who can't be redeemed in this story? Because I actually think that it would be weird if May's not redeemed. She was a child.
Yeah.
But why do you need to go down that way? Like
you think she should just keep getting more evil?
But sometimes evil's just evil.
Here's the thing, though. That's why I don't necessarily know how much of a redemption arc it really is, because I'm not buying pure evil from May
at all.
Kylo Ren, pure evil. Reva, pure evil. I was getting evil from them. I didn't need to see them get redeemed. Right. I don't know if May is really, to Steph's point, I think that she just was maybe either manipulated in the beginning, but I don't see her, and not manipulated into like an evil apprentice. She just, everything she does, she seems like she kind of questions things that she's doing. She doesn't, even when she sees, like most of the evil ones that we've seen in the past, if her sister looks at her and goes, May, or, it's like the evil eyes, the red eyes. And think about Anakin when Anakin turned. It was like, you're not talking sense into this guy. She was like shocked to see her sister.
Yeah, but she sat there, smiled at her. She's burning her thing like,
But that's in the beginning. I'm talking about now. Like, so when she realized her sister was alive,
and the way she talks to the potion master, it's nothing about this character is evil.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
or even bad.
Right.
Really, I think that she's a child and she burned her sister's notebook, and
now she's killing Jedi.
But yeah, I mean, she has that. I mean, that's the argument that probably they could use against us, to where it's
I don't think that's pure evil.
You don't think?
Well, I think that her intentions are misguided, and it turns out that
I think she's been groomed her whole life.
Yeah. So, and that's why I don't like. She's not the one that burnt everything down.
Right.
I don't think so. And that's why even more so it lends to my theory of the Zabrak.
Now, but you say that's very smart. It's very smart.
What is it about Zabrak?
Zabrak, they were the ones that burned it down, kind of pin it on this. But
he doesn't like that.
But is that what's going to happen though? I don't know if it's smart enough to do something like that.
I hope that it's not. I hope it's not smart because it looks too predictable to me.
Okay.
It looks too predictable. It looks like because of the way that they shoot it, the way that they're setting it up, that she wasn't on board with it the whole time. The idea that it's like once again why is maybe the witch picked up the teachings of the Sith,
but in Star Wars, everything we've seen so far. Have they ever given us a story like that where it flips expectations, which is the norm? It seems like every Star Wars show we've gotten pretty much laid out how we thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
It did. It just, point A to point B, the story, this, that. Like, there was nothing like, oh my God, did you see that turn and that flip? We didn't see this coming. Like, I don't know, House of the Dragons or stuff like that, where you talk about storytelling, you're like, holy shit, they pulled that off.
Yeah, I don't think this
seems like Star Wars has always done.
Yeah, you kind of know where it's gonna go, and there's never that kind of like wow, that kind of moment.
And and I get it. There's people that's the comfort blanket, and it's like Star Wars.
Change it up, but that's why I like Andor. Andor to me, Andor to me has the opportunity to do that.
Perfect example, Andor.
Yeah.
Building up. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna get out of here. I can't swim.
Right.
Like holy, everyone felt that.
Yeah, like that's why that show to me is that is
exactly. You think back to it. That was what 3 years ago.
That show is the gold standard.
Like do something, challenge.
Yeah.
Star Wars works when you challenge it. I think you gotta challenge it, man.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are not going to like what we talked about in this episode if you loved it, but
hey, if you do,
either way. But like as I said,
great.
As I'm watching these, did I think that out of the three of them, was it the first time out of the 3 episodes I said, oh, okay, I understand these characters a little bit more? Sure. Do I feel like it's just lost the essence of the grand scale of the Star Wars universe? I do, but I feel there's going to be a ton of you that don't agree with that. So thank you for watching once again. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. I want to thank both Steph and Mike. Steph, where can they find you?
At Steph's Abroad and the World Girls.
We're done already?
Done.
Damn, it was fast.
Yeah.
It's been an hour though, but holy crap.
Yeah.
At Mike Kalinowski.
So that's it. And we will be back here next week. We're going to be doing, I have a whole bunch of new programs. I got to figure out if I can get Steph and Mike in the same room somehow. But anyway, we'll be back for episode 4 of The Acolyte. Thanks for joining us here today. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a non-spoiler review of Inside Out coming out. We've got some reactions to House of the Dragon, a few other things too. So make sure you hit that button, put your comments in there, be part of it, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.